Okay, so yesterday's problems with the punches obviously had a lot to do that there is no direct correlation between Kihon and application, okay? Because your main problem is your mind. But how sound your architecture is about the ceiling of what you can do with your mind if you did solve that problem, okay? So when you start from just Kihon, pure Kihon, you have to keep in mind the problems you were having yesterday against the punches, okay? So for example, I'm going to be cognizant of that power line on the shoulders. So we review the Kihon for the mount reversal. Don't open your chin like this. You're always tucked and you always have your hands in a guard position, okay? So as I come around, this is going to open me up, do you see, and open my target up, and that's where that guy yesterday punched you, and you stop that move, do you see? So I'm more thinking about what is going on. So even here, I'll go and I'll make contact. As he goes to punch, I can stick to him, as opposed to I'm now doing this move out. Boom, you're going to get hit. So I'm covering up, I'm sticking to what I need to stick to, and I'm paying attention to those power lines. So as I come around and get this going, I don't want to be here. I'm going to be hiding in here. So coming around, hide in here, and then just bad technique. This is not it. This is where the guy pulled his arm out and punched you again with that hand. So as you come around, you want to make sure you have a thumbless cap on the back so he can't pull his arm out, and a thumbless cap here so he can't pull his arm out to laterally. So I'm here like this, stuck in place. Next thing, he's going to move, so you can reinforce this base at first by trapping it before you bridge. Do you see that? So I don't want to go here. He just pulls it out and oh, okay. So here, trap, and then go to the bridge. And then all weight goes on him. Bring your center, not here, bring your center with you before you see the administrative ending of that posture. Then the other point is you can start this form right as he's getting on, so you have some sense of musubi with his technique. So, boom. Okay, let's try and get those details in because they were punishing you yesterday. So the beginning of your movement is all administrative, okay? That's why he's just like this, okay? You saw yesterday that he has to provide the opening for the movement, okay? So for example, the way his body is now, I would not do that. This makes my leg vulnerable. Oh, he can just grab my ankle and pull it slowly. And he's going to tweak. Go ahead, you can do it. He's going to tweak my knee. Do you see? But if you remember, some of you were grabbing really tight. Well, see, he walked into it, and just that little movement already tightens it and takes the balance. Do you see? But when you learn the move administratively, that's part of the move, but you'll never get that, in my experience, unless you violate Jiu-jitsu principles. Okay, but he'll put his foot there as he's trying to do something, right? There it is right there, and I got him. Do you see? Okay, that is more obvious when you're doing elbow knee escape from the administrative starting point, okay? So, you're gonna come up, get your frame, bridge, split your hands, out, boom, pinch, check so he doesn't come back down on you, shrimp out the other way, and you go to elbow knee. If you try that administrative when someone's punching you, he goes. Your hands just left you open, do you see? So this is not how you will find it in the technique. But the movement is that his knees, one knee or so will be light, and his energy will be going in the opposite direction that you're going, okay? So that's what you see here. So I go one, I've made his knees light, do you see? And then I'm going to push in this way, and I'll shrimp out the other way, okay? So for example, where that comes into play, he goes to strike, I take his balance, and you'll see this knee is light. You see? So here's where I can come out on that side. So as you're doing it administratively, make sure that you get a knee light and that you're the one going around things as opposed to moving him. So you're not going... That is not going to be relatable to dynamic situation. So I'm moving myself. Okay, let's try it. Go. You gotta make the knees light. And go around his knees. Go. So in the administrative starting position of each move, for example, as I said, if he has his legs out there, I would not try to get that. So that is not the administrative starting position for the mount reversal. If he is squeezing the hell out of me, that is not the administrative position for the elbow knee. So he does not do that. Got it? That said, however, there's some common mistakes that you leave out because you're confusing, for example, the shrimping drill that you would do at the beginning with the technique. The technique obeys the rules of yin space, so you can only shrimp into yin space. If your normal shrimping pattern takes you into yang space, you're doing it wrong. So in this maneuver, I don't shrimp into his other leg. Do you see that's not where it goes? So you're going to shrimp forward until you feel the yin space around the leg you're shrimping around, okay? So you don't shrimp into the other leg. So boom, forward, there's the yin space. That's when I come out. Bring the leg up. Second mistake that tends to happen is you can, especially on a guy who's static, you can kind of do all of this with just your abdominals and your knee hooks on his hip bones. But you will find that very difficult to do, again, in more dynamic situations. So don't leave out the bottom foot. My feet are currently on the ground, not off the ground. On the ground and pinching, and they're going to help me turn my body. So when I bring this leg out here, that foot is going to stay on the ground, and I use that foot to help me turn, as opposed to just my knee and try to do that. I'll do it again. It's on the second foot on the last shrimp. Boom. Leave that here. Put that foot on the ground and use an open guard with this knee and use that foot to turn your body. And now you have an open guard before you bring the knee out. Okay? Or the foot out. All right. Get those two concepts going. Only shrimp into the yin space. Leave that last pivot foot in the middle of their legs. Use the open guard with the knee rather than trying to use it as a hook for your shrimping maneuver. So again, in like a competition setting, it would be fine to take your hands away from here and put them here, but not in a more live setting like yesterday, okay? So, as I do this maneuver, I'm going to start modifying it closer to what I would have to do if he's striking me, okay? So I have the same rules. I'm going to use that same shield as I go, and I don't break it as much as the administrative form requires. So I'm not breaking it. Boom. You can see how my hands will come right back into that guard position and paying attention to his power lines, okay? So I'm heading over here on the outside of this power line until I get a trap on one of his arms. And I can do the same thing as he's about to go on me as I did in the mount reversal, so it has some sort of live component to it, okay? As opposed to, this isn't gonna work. You're gonna get punched everywhere, okay? Start bringing in, I gotta pay attention to the power lines. I gotta be ready to trap, okay? Try it again. The next one is very, very similar, only I make sure I come over here, okay? So it's gonna start the same, so there's no point in going to this administrative starting point with my frame here. I try to keep myself as long as I can as I bridge and then duck into here, okay? And I turn myself on my diagonal. I don't want to be on my side because I don't want to expose my back to him, okay? So I'm on a diagonal here, and this arm stops him from pushing me down, and this arm stops him from coming back on top, okay? I'm in this position. There's an integrity to this position. I'm not here like this. Boom, locked out like this, okay? And it's from here that I now capitalize upon that light and knee, just by hooking this and grabbing it and bringing it back. And I come around it, and now you have elbow, knee on the other side. So key, it's here, boom, making myself with a positional integrity, lightening that knee as a result, up to hook, and then it gets lighter, and I move around it, and I go to the other side, and I use that same final foot to pivot. He's on, I can do the timing, boom. All right, let's go. Only the first part is partially new. Okay, the fourth one, so this was a 4-part dilemma we were using yesterday. It wasn't a sparring drill. It wasn't even a flow drill. It was just, hey, work with these dilemmas, these dilemma aspects. That's all you got. I only gave you those 4. That's what you're supposed to work with, okay? You weren't supposed to do whatever. You want to see how these interrelate with each other. And we introduced the spontaneous element of he's going to be punching at you as you work the dilemma, okay? So, they build on each other. As you can see, for example, in this last technique we just did, the second half is the second technique we did, okay? And the first half, the very first half, the bridge was the part of the first technique, okay? And so likewise, the fourth technique is going to use the bridge in a way very similar to the last technique, okay? So we again start from the administrative position, and I'm going to bridge him onto my hands, and then this leg is light. And I transfer his weight to my hands as I shrimp out that light leg there. And then we just stop in this position. Of course, you have your heel hooks and your reversals and things like that. We just stopped here to work the dilemma aspects, okay? So, same thing. Don't break your guard any more than you have to. Boom, you're out. You should not feel his weight at all. It's a transfer of his body into that position, okay? And then, same thing. Yesterday, some of you tried this move when the guy's weight was either supporting his balance or he was pressuring you. That's not when you would do this move. It's more when he goes up to punch you. That's when you do that move. So he goes up to punch you, and that's when that move comes out. Do you see that? So emphasizing even more the point that you're not muscling him, so don't muscle him now. Figure out how to get that to be effortless by moving into the yin space and using his energy, his mass, in a way where you're not actually lifting it and pushing it, okay? Try it. Okay, so again, a beginner mistake is not really in a sophisticated way understanding yin and yang. Yin and yang, yin is not always empty space, okay? Yin is always relative to yang. So in the second move, I went into empty space. In the fourth move, I go into yin space, okay? So what do I mean by that? As I go to do the maneuver, I don't want to try to go around his leg like the first move. As I go to do the maneuver, boom, I move into this leg. I'm moving into that leg. The leg is relative yin to my movement because all his weight is here. So wherever I feel that leg, boom, that's what I push into that leg to get out of that position, okay? Watch that you're not feeling for the empty space and you're trying to go like this as you're never going, you didn't get the leg, okay? Feel where his leg is. Boom, move right into that leg position. And then you'll have your stuff, okay?